In today's lecture, we'll be going through some of the leftover portions of stores. We are going to go through the custody of stores, okay, like how you take care of stores. In fact, we have already done this in our previous lecture. However, we'll just go through it in brief. And what is meant by reconciliation of material reconciliation of stores? What does that mean? So actually in this water conservation week I was in charge of the finances. So quite a few of you might have taken part in some association activity or things. Normally what you do, you'll have a column for credits or all the money that comes into your account. Like for example, you may be charging a registration fee. So all this is to your credit. Then you might have taken an advance money from the finance office. So that comes under credit. Then what are the debits? You're printing, right from your printing, right from the material you buy. Probably you are sending posters to various colleges. Then your hospitality, all this come under debits. So then you finally have you'll have a column where you find out what is the actual amount of money at hand, and you can always find out how much money you have spent. Okay, so but in construction accounts, you have, or especially in the accounts for stores, people go one step further. You in a civil engineering forum, you'll only be, in an organization program, you're just going to take money from one source. But here, when you're accounting for stores, you will have to charge the division which is claiming your money. You'll have, for example, in a big organization having 5 sites or 100 sites, depending on the size of the organization, the stores will have to charge the site to which the money is going to be, or the material is going to be sent. And overall also they will have to find out how much is the material at hand. So how much has come in, how much has gone out, okay, together is called as reconciliation. So in reconciliation they will also reconcile how material has gone to various units. So this is the meaning of reconciliation of materials in a store. And so one of these are the things, works of stores which you have already seen. And I'll again point out to the proper tagging of stock. Proper tagging of stock. If suppose material is not tagged properly, normally they get lost. If you are going to say you're getting sugar and then putting maida, that sort of thing. So if you are going to say that cement of 43 grade has actually might have come, but if you are classifying it as 53, you will say that 100 tons of 53 grade cement is supposed to be there, but will you be able to find it? So actually that becomes a loss. And what happens to the 43 grade? The 43 grade becomes a surplus. The 43 grade material becomes a surplus. So this is a very easy way by which a stock can be lost. So the rest of the stuff I'm sure you're going to be able to understand. So what is this? Last class you saw how materials is issued. Okay. So and we have to bill issued stock to correct job, like what I was telling in the beginning. You will have to bill only the person who has asked the material. One of the new things what probably is new to this class would be this bin card. Okay, so I have one slide for bin card. We'll go in for that. And of course, once you know how much material is available, you can always replenish stock. Replenishing stock means to make up any stock which has been used up. And one of the works of store is the disposal of surplus and scrap. So for efficient procurement, what we should avoid, one of the terms we saw was we should avoid scrap, because scrap loses the initial value. If you are buying a material for 1000 rupees, when you are selling it as scrap, you may be selling it for 100 rupees or so only. So this 900 rupees is becoming a loss. So that sort of thing should be avoided in a store. So this is something which is very general. Receipts. Material received is receipt. I am sure you don't have any problem with this. Do you want me to explain this stuff? Yes? Yes or no? Receipt. Yeah, this is something very very, very simple. I don't want to go ahead too much. So, but one of the important things as engineers you'll have to remember is when you're getting a supplier from abroad. Okay, for example, in VIT itself, if you're going to get a lab equipment from abroad, we'll have to ensure that we are complying to all the import-export regulations. Okay, so some of the material that can come under what shall I say, under some regulation would be if you're getting a sort of a nuclear imaging device. Okay, so you'll have to show a lot of compliance before you're going to get that device. Okay, it might be a very important, a very nice thing for doing your analysis, but because of the material, okay, some radioactive material is there, so you'll have to get lot of permissions. You have to ensure that those are there before you do it. Okay, so that sort of thing is an example of what we'll do for VIT, but in any other organization you do, such regulations will still come into force. So like I told earlier, an organization may have a lot of suppliers for the same item. Switchgear may be procured from the organization itself. So that sort of things were there in the previous thing. Now coming to bin card is nothing but what shall I say, account of material. So you will find out how much material has gone into the supply. Okay, for example, if you are taking steel, reinforcing steel, so how much of steel had been procured in lot number 1. So usually you'll get it in lots only. So on this date, so much of steel came, and then you'll say this much has been taken out. So you will know what is the balance. So one of the works the storekeeper or the store's personals have to do is they'll have to keep doing a surprise check. So surprise check, why do you think a surprise check is required? So that nobody manipulates the account. Point number 1. Point number 2, you'll have watchmen and all these people, they should not be sleeping. So all these things, and surprise checks enable that the discipline is still maintained. Usually the penalty is quite huge. The penalty, that's why many of the government officers are all very afraid to work, because it might mean that they may lose a promotion which will have an impact on their pension. Okay, so they'll have to think of how they are going to live after they retire. So all of this, they'll have a lot of repercussions. So that's why many of the people will be, all the people are more careful in government sort of jobs. So that they are not caught back-footed when they are inspected. Okay, then another important thing is we should ensure that we cross-check with the price ledger. Price ledger where the ledger with all the prices, whether what we have got into the bin or into the material stock, whether it is there, and what we have told has gone out, it has been done and priced correctly. So these are some of the things which are there with the bin cards. And of course, as usual, bins are all serially numbered, and they should be mechanically numbered, like with machine numbering. And even the bin cards there is a record of the bin cards. So you can find out exactly where, in the place where the material is stored, the bin card is kept. So you can just go and have a look at it and say what is the material which you are having and whether you have to go in for more. Okay, so this is, for instance, one of the things which you can see along the railway line. If you see, they'll keep lot of railway tracks, and have you seen they have drawn a line of paint? So if you remove even one, or if you displace a few tracks, immediately you will know that somebody has been meddling with your stock. Same thing, they'll apply paint to tell what is the type of material, because if you look at two types of steel, you will not be able to make the difference. If you look at all the trucks which are coming with the reinforcing rod, you will find that the end has been color coded. There will be some color made. Okay, so each color for that company, they will be having their own standard. So the moment they see a blue paint has been painted, they will say, yes, this is FE 500 for instance. Because just by looking at it, now you are able to do. Otherwise, you will have to go see the manufacturer, whether it the number, and then it takes a little time. So these are some of the ways by which you can also manage your stock. Okay. Of course, this is the other part, short supply. Okay. What is short supply? When you order for a material and you find that it is not up to the numbers which you ordered. So the store has to ensure that it has been, like for example, measured at the time of receipt. The store has to ensure that it is measured at the time of receipt. So you will have to find out whether what you ordered is available. If it is not available, you will have to immediately intimate the parties that there is a loss. So if you notice, we have this system where the person has to make an entry at the gate. So the reason is, if suppose that vendor has actually dispatched and it has come inside, you will have to have a record. So that is why they have a record at the gate and also at the store. So in between, anything can happen. If you go to a construction site, normally what you will find is heavy machinery would have come in. They will not have space to store it. So they'll just keep some wooden planks or something and say, okay, tomorrow we will move it by all means. So they'll just keep it at the first vacant spot which they can see, because the lorry driver will not like to stay and people will not like to hold on the lorry because they'll have to pay demurrage. So they'll prefer it to go out. So this sort of thing, what happens is, if you just take it and keep it wherever you like, then after 10 days you may forget that such a part actually came. Okay, for instance, I have many times observed that idlers, that is what keep the belt in shape, okay, they'll be very small things. So they'll just be stacked at random. They'll just be kept. So after 10 days, if you find out, if you look for it, you may not actually be able to find it, because somebody might have put even a load of sand on it. Anything can happen. So that material gets lost. So in such a case, the penalty cannot go for the supplier. The supplier did his job correctly. Who is at fault? The person inside the site is at fault. The first case was where you determine that there's a measurement mistake. Immediately you can take it up to the parties concerned. On the other hand, if there can be a problem also with the people who received the material. So normally what happens is, each organization has its own set of guidelines as to how to address such issue. In the central government or state government agencies, they'll have a fact-finding mission. They'll try to see who's the donkey, on whose tail we can pin the blame. So what happens in such a case is that persons, if suppose they can attribute it to one person or a group of people, those people will unfortunately be the ones who will be paying for that, making up for that shortfall. They will be making up for the shortfall. So they can recover the same from their salaries, they can recover from their PF, Provident Fund, or there are so many other ways by which the recovery can be affected. And it will also have an impact on their career. It will also have an impact on their career. So this is the way PWD, in fact, because our syllabus also is looking at the way PWD does. It will be done in PWD. Private companies will have their own set of norms. It will depend on the company where you go, where they will find out, where they have their procedures established. So basically, other thing is the disposal of surplus. So we saw how surplus can be generated. So if suppose there is an accumulation of surplus, it starts to occupy space. Second thing is, it starts to deteriorate. So over a period of time, 1 ton of steel may become 200 kgs of rust and 800 kgs of steel that doesn't look attractive to use. 800 kgs may still be re-rolled, but then it will not look attractive at all. So people will not like to store a surplus. Same thing happens to cement. You cannot store cement indefinitely. So same thing happens for almost all the items. So when that happens, they'll have a public auction. You can see this, or there will be tenders called for. They'll call for parties who are interested to come and bid for scrap iron, okay, and so many other things. So this is one method of getting rid of the material. So the person who is successful in getting the scrap, he'll have to arrange for taking it out of the premises also. He will, when they are taking it out of the premises, this will have to be written off in the stock register. This has to be written off in the stock register. So this is the way it happens when you are having an auction. So you may transfer it to other departments. Okay, if suppose you are a very big organization, you can take it from one site and use it up in another site. So that is another way you can do it. And you can try to return it back to the supplier. Sometimes some suppliers will be willing to take back surplus. So that is another way by which you can do it. So if you are returning it, it is one of the best ways because you may get maximum benefit out of it. And another thing is you can loan materials to other divisions. So by mistake you have got or by some oversight or due to unfavorable condition you are not able to use some 1,000 bags of cement. Okay, because it's raining, you may find that you are not in a position to do the concreting. So instead of idling it, instead of keeping it idle, you can move it to another job location. You can move it to another job location. So usually these will be, suppose it's usually they'll issue a voucher. That voucher will be taken. There will be a gate pass there. They'll add it to their store. It will get deleted from their inventory, the supplier's inventory, and then everything is okay. So then what happens after the conditions are probably favorable? The other division will return back the material. Okay. So these are ways by which we can address the surplus. This is one way we can address the surplus. Please note, when you are having a surplus, you are not basically what should I say? You are having a material which is usable. You are having the material which is usable. It has not become scrap. You can still use it. So that is why you are able to, and you don't want it to become scrap. Before it becomes worthless, you try to maximize the benefit. Okay, you try to maximize the benefit. So do any of you have any doubts in this?